Hey guys, welcome to my vegan kitchen. I'm Michelle. So if you love mushrooms, this is the video for you. I have a simple, easy, and delicious recipe. So if you haven't subscribed, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, tap on that bell, and let's cook. Let's start by grabbing some things that I need out of the refrigerator. So, like I said, this recipe has a ton of mushrooms. So if you love mushroom, this is the recipe for you. I'm starting with this gigantic pack of just white mushrooms. This is the most inexpensive mushrooms that you can buy. I purchased this at Costco. So to clean my mushrooms, specifically this type of mushroom, I'm just gonna use a moist piece of paper towel and I'm just gonna wipe the mushroom clean. I'm just removing any kind of dirt or debris that might be on each mushroom. Once I clean it, I'm gonna remove the stem. You could either just pop it out or you could use your knife to cut it. And I'm just gonna place my mushroom on a plate till I have cleaned the desired amount of mushrooms that I'm gonna use in this recipe. You do not want to place your mushrooms under running water. Mushrooms have a lot of moisture, and if you wet them, the recipe tends to become really, really soggy and the mushroom gets kind of slimy. So you just want to wipe them clean and place what you're going to use on the side. Actually, I'm going to use all of these mushrooms, so give me a minute to clean and place. So once I've cleaned and removed the stems from my mushroom, I just place all the caps just in a little plate right there. And we're not gonna waste these stems at all. A lot of times I'll use the stems to create vegetable broth. Just put it all in the pot with onion and other vegetables and make vegetable broth. And sometimes I'll use them in stir fries because the stem has a lot of nutrition. And it's also very firm, so it's perfect in stir fries. So I'll just place that in the fridge, maybe for about 3 days or so, but no longer. I don't want them to start to get, really soft. And there you go, nothing goes to waste. So like I said, this recipe is really simple. We're gonna take our mushroom caps and we're just gonna slice them just like that. So simple. Just give them nice, even slices like that. You do notice that I'm using a larger mushrooms. Now you can use smaller size white mushrooms, but I love the large ones because they're kind of meaty. So it gives the dish a nice meaty texture, very filling, and the size of the mushroom looks more appetizing when it's larger. So I have sliced all of my mushrooms, and I know that's a lot of mushrooms, right? But keep in mind, mushrooms are kind of like spinach. It looks like a lot, and then when you saute it, it's not. So that's why I use the whole package. So if you're, making this meal for a family of 3 to 4, you want to use a large package of mushrooms. So let's just put that on the side. That's a lot of mushrooms. All right. Let's move to the next ingredient, which is a whole yellow onion. So I'm gonna peel and slice kind of the same way I did the mushroom. So we're just gonna slice the onion, not too thin, not too thick, so that you're getting a good amount of onion in the dish. So I've moved everything to the other side, closer to the stove. I have my skillet going on medium-high heat. In my skillet, I'm going to add some butter. So I'm using some vegan butter, but guys, keep in mind, I always say I am not the vegan police. If you guys eat meat or you're not plant-based, go ahead and use your regular butter. But just so you know, this is some vegan butter. I'm just gonna take a sliver, it's nice and soft, and put it in there. So I'm using maybe a half a stick of butter. I'm also gonna add a little bit of oil. And I'm using just some grapeseed oil. So the reason I do both, I like the flavor of the butter, but I like the looseness of the grapeseed oil. Also, for sauteing or to cook this down, we need a lot of liquid in the pot, and oily liquid, because the mushroom absorbs so much of the oil. So here we go. We're gonna add in our onions. I'm just gonna spread them out. Remember, we used 1 whole onion. And then I'm gonna add in all of my mushrooms. Like I said, use a nice deep skillet just so you can get all of your mushrooms and onions inside of the pot. So once I get all of the mushrooms in my pot, I'm gonna use a lid to cover my pot. I'm using a nice heavy duty enamel pot just so it holds a lot of heat and it really sweats out those mushrooms. So while our onions and mushrooms saute in that pot back there, we're gonna move on to the next part of the recipe. And the next part of the recipe has chickpeas because we have to add a little bit of protein to this dish. I have cooked chickpeas here, and every video when I use chickpeas, I usually tell you guys how I do it. I buy dried chickpeas. I do not buy the chickpeas in the can, not anymore. That's behind me. Dried chickpeas, I soak it overnight in water, no salt, just soak it overnight in water. And the next day, when you go to cook it, you're gonna cook it in salted water and cook it for as long that you prefer the tenderness. So I like my chickpeas nice and soft. I cook it for about 45 to 50 minutes. And then I place it in an airtight container like a mason jar. I can leave it in this mason jar for up to 2 weeks. Once I pop that top, that's it. We have to use those chickpeas within 2 to 3 days. I'm gonna pour off the water to just get the desired amount of chickpeas that I'm gonna use. I'll leave the rest in here for later because definitely I'm gonna use that for another recipe. Put my chickpeas in a bowl and we're gonna season it up. Garlic powder, definitely some smoked paprika. Smoked paprika give my chickpeas color, but it gives it such a good earthy flavor. It adds base, you know? Some salt, and this is just sea salt. Depending on your taste, you can add some black pepper to this also. I'm not feeling black pepper today, so I'm not gonna add any, but what I'm gonna add is some nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is gonna give it, again, some nice flavor, but it also acts as a starch. So it's a nice coating for the outside of your chickpeas. So instead of putting cornstarch or flour, I like to use nutritional yeast. Also, nutritional yeast has a lot of vitamin B, so I know that I'm getting good nutrition with my chickpeas. So once I mix that up, maybe I should use the spoon. I give it a nice mix. I'm just gonna add a little bit of oil. And I'm just gonna drizzle a little bit of oil over my chickpeas because I'm gonna place this in the air fryer. And the oil is gonna help as a heat conductor and help to give the chickpeas a nice brown tone when it's done and a nice crispiness on the outside. So let me place this in my air fryer and let's check on those mushrooms. All right, let's see what's going on with these mushrooms. Come on in so you could take a look. See, they've cooked down quite a bit. So just give them a stir. And I'm gonna say it's probably been in here for about 5 minutes. So we're gonna give it another couple of minutes to cook down even more. I'm trying not to see as much white. I'm trying for it to look more like how this one looks. So let's cook that down just a little bit more. All right, let's once again check on our mushrooms, and I think it's ready. Yep, it's ready. See how it's nicely caramelized? It's nice and a little bit softer. That's how we want it to be. The onions are cooked. Just kind of mix everything together. Now, if you want your mushrooms cooked a little bit more, you can cook it a little bit more till it becomes like this, but you don't have to, because what we're gonna do now is season up our mushroom onion combination. I'm gonna add some fresh black pepper. Let's get that in there. And that's why I didn't want to add the black pepper to the chickpeas, because I like it more in this. I don't want it on the chickpeas, but it's up to you. You can add black pepper or even a little jerk seasoning to your chickpeas. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. I wanna make sure I'm salting these mushrooms but just a little bit because I'm gonna have to go back and taste it. I'm gonna give that a stir to make sure it's all combined evenly. And now I'm gonna add my secret ingredient, which is a balsamic glaze. Now, this is one of those things that you don't use a lot, but you should always have it on hand because you just don't know when you might need it. I purchased this one at Trader Joe's, but every supermarket sells it. Basically, it's balsamic vinegar reduced till it becomes this silky, silky, delicious glaze. This is what I do with it. I go right into the pot and just cover my mushrooms, depending how glazy you want it to be. This is a very tangy, sweet flavor. So again, it just depends on how tangy and sweet you want it to be. But I love how beautiful it makes these mushrooms look and how delicious it makes these mushrooms taste. Now, all I do is just give it a couple of minutes in the pan. I am gonna taste it just to make sure it's salted enough. Sometimes the vinegar does give it a little bit more of a salty taste, so I just wanna make sure this is salted enough. So let's grab this mushroom right here. I hope it's not too hot. And just taste it. Maybe a little bit more salt. But I'm gonna also turn the flame off because I don't wanna overcook the mushrooms and the vinegar right now. But I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more salt to this, and that's it. Our mushrooms are all done, guys. Take a look. This is one of those dishes that you can do multiple things with. So let's say you have a baked sweet potato. You could put it on top of a baked sweet potato. Polenta, I put it on top of polenta, which is just cornmeal. I put it on top of that. You put it on top of rice, quinoa. You could just put it on whatever. You could grill some tofu slices and put it on top of that. But today we're gonna plate it up with just some rice and the air fried chickpeas that we put in the air fryer. So let me go get a plate and let's plate this up. All right, got my plate and I just steamed some rice. So guys, yes, I do eat rice because I get that question a lot. You eat rice, why are you eating rice? Let me tell you how I prepare my rice, and maybe one day I'll do it in a video. First of all, my rice, this is jasmine rice, and what I do, I try to soak the rice for a couple of hours before I cook it. So I'll soak the rice in just some room temperature water. Rice can have a lot of arsenic on it, so that's why I soak the rice. So if you guys are like, why is she soaking the rice? That's why I do it. Once I soak it, I wash it multiple times, sometimes 3-4 times until that water comes clear. And I know that's a trick because everybody's like, the water never becomes clear, but it becomes clear enough. Then I'll steam the rice or cook it on the stove, depending on what I feel like doing. Let the rice cool down, then I'll place it in the fridge or the refrigerator. And whenever I need to eat rice, I take it out and I place it in my steamer, and here it is. This way, the rice doesn't have as much starch. We've removed the arsenic. This is super hot, so I'm gonna flip it in the plate and then try to get it out. Give me a second. Ooh, it's hot. Now that I have the rice in the bowl, let's load on our mushrooms. Oh, it smells really good too. So I get as many mushrooms as I want on top. And these also, this is great for meal prep because it sits really nicely in the refrigerator. You can leave it in the refrigerator for up to 5-7 days, at least a week, and it will stay fresh. Now let me go grab the chickpeas. I hear the air fryer has stopped. Now my chickpeas are perfectly done. They're not too crispy outside and they're still soft. That's the texture that I'm looking for. But if you like your chickpeas a little bit crispier, leave them there a little bit longer. I did 10 minutes on 400. So I'm just gonna put a couple right on top. The combination is so pretty. And that's it. For presentation, I'll usually add a couple of slices of green onion or scallion, but I'm completely out. So this is the beautiful plate that you guys are gonna see. This is it right here. Let's dive in and see what this tastes like. I'm grabbing a little bit of rice a little bit of mushroom, and some chickpeas. Here we go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Such an interesting flavor. For those of you who haven't had balsamic vinegar, this is probably the best way, or balsamic glaze, I should say. This is probably the best way to try it in your first recipe. Absolutely delicious, super easy recipe as you guys can see. This literally will come together in about 20 minutes, and it's another great plant-based alternative. Thank you guys for joining me in my vegan kitchen. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, don't forget to tap on that bell so you get all the reminders whenever I come out with a new video. Thank you guys. Bye.